Culture in Maine.
It is a place where the truth should be carried.
The arts and music scene really shows what people are about.
Share what's going on here in York.
It makes you feel like a family.
Local art has a face that most people can relate to.
Our community up here that sticks together.
Art is art.
Great potential with great artists, poets, singers, writers, directors, filmmakers. It's fantastic.
Everyone has a story to tell.
That moment, you have to capture that moment and share it with the rest of the world.
Showing something that maybe has not been seen before.
Without art, what good is life?
I am art. I've been art ever since I was born.
It really adds a great deal to our community.
We don't really need art to exist, but you need art to live.
Culture in Maine is important, and I think playing out is important, and playing open mics and playing wherever you can play. It's all about us all checking in with each other.
Good evening, everyone. And here on Culture in Maine, we have one of my very favorite York County artists who's joining us to share with us some very unconventional and bold ways of re-envisioning nature's template to create art that we can take home and enjoy with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Judy Orcutt. Now, I'm obsessed with these pictures, and I love the work that you do with note cards as well. So I guess let's start though, before I get to share the secrets and be the one that gets to have the big reveal. Let's start a little bit with just how you came into starting to create art in the first place, because you had a sort of unusual background into coming into being a visual artist, for sure.
You're so right. My training was as a pharmacist, and I still am interested in the medical field, but nowhere near. It's not me. My true persona is being an artist, and I loved flowers and botanical things, which of course pharmacy did have some degree of that.
Definitely.
So there was a little bit of a crossover there, but that is just about it.
You took a stopover at herbal healer and natural medicine, and
exactly, in the plant world. But I knew that I had an artist trapped inside of me at some point, and I didn't know who or where that would lead, but I knew I wanted to pursue it. I wanted to have an art business. And back in the 1980s at the YWCA, I took my first calligraphy class. And I was in love. I loved the drawing of the letters and the form of the letters, and I would practice hours and hours at a time.
Oh my goodness.
Making pages of A's, trying to get all the A's to look the same. So, and I still cannot do it.
So you started off doing the actual writing, which now I've seen some of the wall hangings and pieces you've done, and we have some examples here. And, you know, it's these beautiful quotes and verses that, you know, just move, like you said, in beautiful organic shapes across the card or across the wall hanging. And you even write some of them yourself.
I do have, especially in my note cards, I have short verses and short sayings that I have come up with. And I also have a few poems that I've written.
Oh my gosh, a true multimedia artist. So the visual art, though, when did that enter into, you know, after spending these hours learning calligraphy, after practicing for hours and creating sheets of these beautiful words and deciding to turn them into wall hangings and cards, was it just that you wanted to, you know, further augment the cards, or what inspired you to start picking up the work that you do with the actual flowers and botanicals?
Somewhere along the line, I saw some pressed flowers, and I thought, oh my, I think I could add those to my calligraphy and make it have some special effect. And so that's what I did. Pressing flowers was fairly easy because of my botanical background, and I looked into how to do it, and I started doing it. And then I would, as far as a design would go, I would do the lettering, and then feel the lettering, and then feel what flowers I wanted to add to that to enhance what the poem or the quote is, so that they all work together. And so I just started adding them because calligraphy by itself was really rather plain, and I didn't see that it was gaining a lot of an audience, perhaps. And when I started adding the pressed flowers to it, it really became its own product.
Oh, and now we have a couple of examples.
This one you have in your hand now, the quote on it says, "Won't you come into my garden? I would like my roses to see you." And that's
so
a
beautiful.
multiflora sprig of roses with some Queen Anne's lace and some rose petals. That was the first design I did that I added pressed flowers to, so consequently it was the first design in my calligraphy note card line.
So you actually create the original piece of artwork, and these are full-size roses
Yes.
and big giant
Yes.
Queen Anne's lace, and you press them, you dry them, you arrange and preserve them,
Right.
and create an artwork that is then scaled down and copied onto the cards? How does that work?
Once I have my original art piece done, I do it on Bristol board, which is a little thicker, and it's good for the calligraphy, and it holds up well under any glue for the flowers.
okay.
I just use minimal glue. But once I have a good original, I scan it.
Okay.
So then it converts it into a digital image. And once I have a good digital image, I can do it in many ways.
So then it can be the wall hanging, it can be the greeting
yes,
card,
and the cards,
it can
and
be
it
anything.
can be something that I've done and then maybe put on a box, or there's multiple things I can do with a good image, digital image.
Now, this one is absolutely one of my favorites, and I was shocked when I found out that it's not just flowers that were real in this image.
Right. This is design that has watercolor in it, for one thing, with the moon. And this is the full moon garden fairy, I call it. Her name is Ruby. The quote says, "Garden fairies come out at dawn, bless the flowers, then they're gone." And I love that quote. The wings on the garden fairy are cicada wings. The hair is corn silk. There's a butterfly specimen, alive. It was alive at one time.
Right, at one time.
A butterfly specimen on there. There's geranium leaves here for the bodice. This is watercolor. This is a nut seed. And this is zinnia and Spanish moss.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was happy with that. It took me a long time to get that design. It just wasn't happening.
Oh, my goodness.
And then finally it happened, and I thought, it's good.
And the way that it all comes together with the watercolor and actual insect wings and butterflies and the moss and then the seeds and flowers on top of that, it just creates this beautiful work with this detail and dimension that if you just were drawing it, I think it would have such a very different feel. But that
It would.
use of real materials
real material
from
makes
nature,
a difference.
that's
It does.
amazing. And
Thank
then
you.
once it's all scanned, you can do so much with it.
Right.
Like you said. Now,
Right.
this scanning, this idea of creating this beautiful, almost three-dimensional feeling digital version, because it's not even a photograph. It's really actually scanning directly from the image. Was how you began doing the additional work with these flowers as
Right,
well. So now this is actually a scanned image of a real bouquet of flowers.
Real flowers. This, what I did before is calligraphy and pressed flowers. This is scanography. And scanography is different in that it is using my scanner as if it were a camera. And I adjust it so that the light comes up through the flowers, giving a very luminous quality and a three-dimensional quality. And it's just entirely different than a photograph would be. It has much more depth.
It truly does. It
Yeah.
looks very different from a photograph. The way that the flowers, the detail and the layers
Yeah.
in the back as well as the front, and just the depth, the way it sort of falls into the image is
Yeah, as a photography term, you
Very
would say
different.
that this has a very short depth of field, which means that it's capturing all that imagery right in the short depth of field.
okay.
And so I'm using this mainly for wedding bouquets, as well as any like memorials or any time a person or persons have a special floral arrangement. Because wedding bouquets are so beautiful, and often they're just tossed.
And sometimes very expensive.
Oh, right. And this way, one can have the representation. Sometimes I can get the whole bouquet. A lot of times I do representations of the flowers that were in it. And then with my calligraphy skills, I put in the names of the couple and the date they were married.
I love that.
So then they have a treasured memory of what their wedding was like.
Where can people find you and find your work?
Well, I've got several websites. I just was got onto Amazon Handmade.
Which is a very exciting new development.
Very
That's a
exciting.
juried
Yes.
exhibition almost.
Yes, it is exciting, and that's only been up for several weeks now, and I've already gotten several orders. I mainly have box note cards up on that, and so I am on Amazon Handmade with the slash instead of saying Quilligraphy. The slash is little gift.
Okay.
And then I have on Etsy with under Quilligraphy on Etsy. And let's see, I'm in shops around. I'm down at the John Wright Factory gift shop that Judy Bono has, the Gardener of Owl Valley. I'm also at Sunrise Soap Company and at the Postal Connections on Pauline Drive.
Well, I found punk when I was about 18 years old, and, it just kind of stuck with me. I like to just keep it simple and play whatever I feel, and if that label gets put on it, it gets put on it. And just that's how I play. I mean, it's all from me and from what I can do. I walk an army of none. I am the bastard son, an outcast born of misconception. Many share my situation. Born with anger in our blood, we face this world, we do not run. We just exist, and we resist. We are the bastard sons, and we will not bow or run, and we'll be the ones who will take your control when you're wasted by the loaded gun. The bastard sons. Failure is in our hearts, faced with hardship from the start. We have no path to follow, no past, present, no tomorrow. We just exist, and we resist. We are the bastard sons, and we will not bow or run, and we'll be the ones who will take your control when you're wasted by the loaded gun. The bastards. are the bastard sons, condemned by birth to face the gun. You'll try to take us down, but we will turn the tide around. Bastard sons, we have our call, truth and justice for all. We will not die, we will survive and steal your crown. We will live on, we will live on forevermore. We are the bastard sons, and we will not bow or run. And we'll be the ones who will take your control when you're wasted by the loaded gun. 'Cause we are the bastard sons, and we will not bow, we won't run. And we'll be the ones who will take your control when you're wasted by the loaded gun. 'Cause we are the bastard sons. The bastards. Oh, we're the bastard sons. Yeah, we're the bastard sons. Oh, we're the bastard sons. Yeah, we're the bastards. Thank you. Well, I can't say a day that I haven't been into music. Way back when I was a kid, I'd hear music, I'd be like, okay, if that's there, I always liked it. I didn't know much about it. And then I got into school, and about fifth and sixth grade, I got into choir. Yeah, I know, really punk. I was in choir all through school, and that's where I found my appreciation for music. We sang all these beautiful songs. I mean, a lot of them were gospel, a lot of them were just like certain religious songs, so to say, but we sang in Russian, we sang in Latin, we sang some show tunes even, and it was fun. It got me into music, and there I found out I liked singing. And then one day, I can actually describe it, the day I got into music, was I was hanging out with my best friend, we were in his room, and he's like, here, listen to this, man. And out of all the stuff I heard, for some reason, this one stuck out, Breaking Benjamin's So Cold song. I don't know why, but it stuck out, and it stuck with me, and that was the exact day I found out what music was and what it could do and what I thought I could do with it. I didn't play up until I got into high school, though. I was in a guitar class because I wanted to learn the guitar, and this one guy was like talking to his friend who was the drummer. He was the guitarist, and they were trying to start their own punk band. They were trying to make it the angriest, heaviest, loudest thing they could think of, dirty and grungy and crusty. And they were saying, we need to find a bassist. Well, I overheard them, and I was like, I'll learn bass. They looked at me like, who are you? So I introduced myself, and we started talking, and later that exact day, the guy took me over to his house and showed me his bass, which was a beautiful Fender bass. One looked like Sid Vicious played, actually. And he taught me a little bit on it. We tried to jam out with the bass and guitar and stuff like that, and we started what we thought would be a band until it, fell through. But ever since that day, I've been playing, and then that's where I realized I want to do this, and just feels good doing it. Let's go! Walking through these streets where I don't belong. Since the days I spent with you are dead and gone, I've been trying not to think on it so long, but I'm dying just to know where it went wrong. Where where it went wrong. We spent our days awake till 2:30, 'cause being together was all we really knew. We said, oh man, I hope these good times never end. But the good times always end, 'cause that's what they do. That's what they do. And I've been saying for far too long, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs, and I've been hoping it doesn't get much worse. All the nice guys finish last, they get used first. We thought we had the whole world in our hands, until out from center stage came the bearded man. And he gave you the devil's juice, but you wanted more. So he took your pretty hand and walked you out that door. Right out that door. And I've been saying for far too long, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs, and I've been hoping it doesn't get much worse. Now the nice guys finish last, they get used first. Well, I thought I was a liar, but you wanted a goat. Yeah, I thought I could be king till you made me a joke. Well, I guess I should have seen it come to end that night. And the grass is always green until you stop giving love. Well, the grass is looking dead, so I'm guessing that we're done. Well, you know, the grass is greener on the other side. Right. It's been about a year since we parted ways. I could recount every second of every day, and I sure do miss what we could have been. But I sure as hell do not miss what we became. Now cut to the scene of the streets where I walk along. I know my mistakes and what I've done wrong, and this might seem kinda jaded and spiteful to you, but if the goat wants to eat dead grass, well, he's welcome to. Yeah, he's welcome to. And I've been saying for far too long, I've been screaming at the top of my lungs, and I've been hoping it doesn't get much worse. Oh, but nice guys finish last and they get used first. And I've been saying for far too long, and I've been screaming of my lungs, and I've been hoping it doesn't get much worse. But nice guys finish last. They get used first. Oh, they get used first. Yeah, they get used first. Thank you. I was blown away by what I saw when I came into York. I lived in Dover my whole life. I didn't know what to expect the first time I was invited out to the First Cap to watch two people play, Boots and Cat, who I think were on here before. I didn't know what to expect, but I got out here and I sat down at the bar. It was my first time in a bar. I was 22, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. They're up there performing on stage. They're having a blast, joking around with each other. Everyone's singing their songs. They know them. They're feeling the music, and it just took off. I was blown away, and while I was there, they said, there's an open mic here if you want to come to that. So I was like, hey, why not? I'll check it out. I didn't expect to play, but I showed up. I didn't have a guitar with me at the time, so I showed up, and later that night, after a few drinks, more than a few, I found myself on stage with Cat's guitar, Boots behind me, Cat playing bass behind me, and someone else is the drummer, I think, or saw player, Logan. And I apparently drunkenly played a whole set. And that's where I started in the music scene. It was received pretty well from what I know. The video tells me so. That's all I remember from. But after that, I figured I want to do that again. So I came back out the next week and I tried some more. And every time I tried, I got more and more reactions from people, more like joining in. Some people would join me on stage when I played, and it was awesome. As far as the other musicians, I've been exposed to so many amazing musicians around New York. There's talent here that I didn't know was around here, and I'm surprised. It changed my whole prospect on the city, on the people, on everything in the last year that I've been playing. This next one is a lot about confusion, and actually a lot of my songs are about like confusion, just not knowing what life is and what it's supposed to bring and what you're supposed to do with it. You get thrown into it and you're lost from the get-go. There's no map. And this one is just about feeling like everything is wrong. There's a wrong step in everything you do, and you don't feel like you're doing it, but you keep doing it anyway because it's all you can do. Get loud and weird. Hungover, everything is fine, and I'm gonna go for a drive, and I shouldn't be in back of this wheel tonight. Oh yeah. Woke up 10 less Saturday, I couldn't even recall my own name, and nothing's changed in my dismay. I'll be blackout drunk come next payday. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Baby, let's go for a ride. I wanna give you all my time tonight. I'm looking for something that'll last a while, not something that's gonna fade overnight. Oh yeah. Just put the gun up to my head. I'm used to eating bullets, I don't wanna be fed. Play Russian roulette in my bed, the only escape from inside of my head. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I can't seem to find my way home. I can't seem to find my way home. No matter where I run, I'll never see the sun, and I just can't seem to find my way home. Home. can't tell you where, why, or how. Let it slip away, it slipped away. I've used up all my luck, my time is almost done. I've used up all my options, I just might as pack it in and run, run, run. Can't seem to find my way home. Can't seem to find my way home. No matter where I run, I'll never see the sun, and I can't seem to find my way. Can't seem to find my way. Can't seem to find my way home. I just can't seem to find my way home. No matter where I go, this hell is all I know, and I can't seem to find my way. Can't seem to find my way. Can't seem to find my way home. 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 Thank you.
Follow your heart. Play what you feel. Honestly, when you're up on stage or behind a mic, or someone asks you to play, they've given you permission to play from your heart. They've given you permission to play what you play. If you play it and they don't like it, they can walk off. Someone else will come along and hear it. Maybe they'll like it. My goal with music is to just impact people the way music has impacted me. Music has helped me so much through life. Every second since I found out what it was has been defined by a certain song, a theme behind what I'm doing. Just do that. Go with the aspiration that one day you're going to hit someone with the same way that the music hit you. That's just the only way I can describe it. Just play from the heart and play.
One for the phone, one in the ground, one out of house, three in the world we spin around. For the phone, there's 45 lines of phone. In the business of being funky, baby, and business is good. This 45 watts of phone.
We have one of our most dynamic and exciting interviews of the entire season. We have the dance ambassador for hip hop culture, Anwar Berry, also known in dance persona as A-Switch, is not only a dancer all on his own, but he is also the lead choreographer and the founder of Switch's Dance Company, which is an amazing performance dance troupe that works with students throughout York County and beyond. Now, they are everywhere. And Anwar is here to tell us a little bit about what remixed hip hop actually means. But before we even start talking, check this out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Switches.
Take me out to the ball game. 1, 2, 3, fight, you're out. That's the all.
feel so close to you right now. It's a force field. I wear my heart up on my sleeve like a big deal. Yeah, there's no stopping us right now. And there's no stopping us right now.
So do you make your own mixes? Because I know from
Yes.
hearing you, you'll have multiple songs
Yeah.
combined and
Yeah.
and they come in and, it might be a little bit faster than it was on the radio. Or,
Hey, oh, nice. You picked up on that. Not many people pick up on that. Yes, I do, because when you hear it on the radio, it's your natural beat. You go,
right.
But to dance to it, it's slow, especially if you're trying to advance your dance. Like Switches, that's the performing group. So I'm trying to advance them pre-professionally into a professional mindset. What's musicality? What's dance theory? Here's your downbeat, your upbeat, here's your accents. Not just, here's a choreography. I was just sitting in my living room. I thought it would be cool. Let me show it to you. No, and then you got to search for a place, your heart. Now, what does this song dictate to you? What's the message? So you find music, if you go, well, this song got too much nonsense in there. I can't play that. But there's a second verse that's positive.
Right.
Let's take the first verse out. That's too crazy. Take the second verse. That's what I rearrange the music. Yeah, I can't influence it from its original format because I'm not the one produce it, but I'll rearrange it. So how me and you, which is what a DJ does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
DJ
absolutely.
goes, "Yeah,
They'll
man."
take, there's a great hook, but then they go too long in the jam
yeah,
session. So
and
let's
you
just take that.
Exactly. So if I can go, what if I let the audience, if it's teaching or if you're in the audience watching a performance, think you're at a party without the scratching, but just mess with the music. Loop it a couple times, let a certain word repeats itself, make it like a chant. And you do it, and I've been doing that for years now. So that's my little, and you figure if you're coming from the cassette era.
I remember. I was my own little cassette DJ. Like I would try to make my tapes from playing on the radio.
Yes.
So I'd be
and you're
sitting
right there, and you're going, yes,
hit record
pause,
just that right
because he's
second.
talking.
Yep.
Or she's talking. Unpause, because now
That's
they
right.
stop talking. Yeah, so you save the cassettes and you go, CD came out. Now you have the flip book. That was me, the flip book. I'm like, you pop that in. Then you go, MP3 device came out, Apple.
Oh yeah, and then you're scrolling through your playlist.
So you take your CDs and put them in the computer now. So you figure now you have a couple 10,000 of songs, all genre.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that explains the whole mix thing.
So you're technically a dance instructor, but you came into it through the love of music and movement, and so you do remixing, you do choreography, original. So you design what the students are doing. You're teaching and instructing. You're teaching them about music theory, about rhythm, about movement, about physicality. And by the way, there's some dance moves that are happening in there too.
Yes. Well, from heart, I'm a dancer. I would always say, because you start as a dancer. Then you go, choreography, I think I can construct my own steps because I learned formations. I learned what counts was, how to follow along, stay in my line, use my peripheral visions, make sure I'm in the same line as my dancer partner to my right and left. Okay, we're moving in unison. But then for me, choreography is what I like, because in Jamaica, I came here when I was 10 years old. So I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. You make stuff up. Like I can see you sitting just like that, your posture, and go, that's a 1 count. She laughed on 2, 3 right there. And make it a skit. So it don't got to be dancing. The curtains can open and see you go 1, 2, 3.
But it's movement with rhythm and purpose.
Yes. So in Jamaica, that's the lifestyle. You just, you just create. So I always did reggae, living in the Bronx, Parkchester. Then I moved to Queens, New York, my family, and that's when I met hip hop. What's that, like 92, 3?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, think about that. Yeah, golden era. And my actually it was more in the 80s, because I came here in the 80s, 86, 88. And then That's when I would see like MC Light. My cousins would play music videos on Video Music Box, and I'll see like MC. I know now because obviously, but back then I'm like, what is a MC Light? What is that? I don't know MC Light. I mean, back then you're talking about those 2 channels in Jamaica. There's no cables. You know what I mean? I'm a 70. Well, what would you call me? 80s baby. I'm not 78. Yeah, so I look young. I still got it.
You do, because I wouldn't have pegged you at 78, honey. I wouldn't have.
You still working
still
on
got
it. Because, you know, in the dance world, we consider old at that age. You're in your 30s,
true.
so you gotta, you know.
That's a rough field. You know, there's a very short shelf life for a dancer, can be very limited in terms of body type. There's only certain types of bodies that are expected to be successful in dance. There's a huge physicality to it. Some injuries are really common, but then as soon as those injuries happen, they can take you out permanently.
That's so true.
I mean, that's a very intense field to
just
take up.
It's just like being an athlete, I guess, because you said injuries. I always sympathize to any one of my students or person. My knee got hurt or my ankle. I'm fortunate, blessed to God, love you so much. You know that I've yet to receive any injuries that got me bed rest. And I want to do it now. My ultimate goal is to open on Broadway. And I'm going to do it.
I believe it. So I'm really curious because, I mean, I've seen your own individual dancing is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate
And you've danced in music videos. You've danced with major recording artists.
Yeah.
You've danced on stage. But yet, when I keep seeing you popping up, it's because you're not dancing with yourself or for yourself. You're teaching all these young kids to dance. How did you end up teaching and keep doing, and not just teaching? Like a lot of people supplement their individual income by trying to teach. You actually have started your own dance troupe. And I mean, kids are in parades, you and the kids are in festivals and fairgrounds and baseball games. I mean, you find a stage anywhere and everywhere you go. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how it was. I mean, performing my dance group, I did the same thing, performing and stuff. And I must say, I'm fortunate. This is my 9 to 5 to teach. So I always taught. I worked a 9 to 5 job, but that's when I was pursuing being a dancer, talent agency, McDonald Shelsnick Associate, and trying to go out there and pursue. I have to stand in line and audition, and I would see people go, they're working their butts off, but there's only the friends got picked. And I would say, if I find myself in that authoritative position as, a choreographer, I won't do that. I'm gonna search for talent. And that's what I have with Switches. They're young. We have a group from 7. She was 7 years old. That's little Mahari, all the way up to now 13. And it's always been around. Like I had groups, but sorry, you see me pause. I'm reminiscing.
Yeah.
Because it is
seeing the
cool.
little dancers right in your mind.
Man,
like,
it's refreshing because I try to teach them to be their own individuals. It's movements. Just find a niche to it, make it flow, make it look cool. But it's creative. You're creating. And I would always use a reference to ballet and go, what's the first position step you just step in? But if the way they do it, it's not what you say, you heard the expression, not what you say, how you say it. So not what you do is how you do it. Yeah, so, teaching is my thing. Like I choreograph right now for Full Force. Like they're legends. If you look up Full Force, everybody know, and they have done music production and stuff for all kind of people and stuff. But teaching is what keeps me grounded. But I'm a big fan of being an individual. Because if we're all in a room, we're all wearing white T-shirts or gray, we're the same. How do I stand out? Where's my identity? I'll put purple on or something. So I'll find a way to go, dubstep is cool, but can I switch that up a little? Because, how did that become cool? Somebody did it so many times and it became viral. So what's stopping? Crumping was an African dance. It's an African dance. They run the campfire and stuff. It's in the movie Rise. But there's a way, in an urban community, and you go, I can switch that up a little. But if I kept doing it that same way, how do I stand out? So, you need self-thought. and you do need some training, but I would say it all depends on what you're pursuing, because you can't just be self-taught and go into it head on and get somewhere, but then you won't be getting jobs, because when you go to the choreographers that speak a language and go, I need you on the first segment of the second phrase and stuff, you're like, what the?
The what?
Right. I'm sorry. So you do, you know, it
You need to learn to speak dance if you want to do it in any kind of professional format or environment.
And I do that with my switches group or any dances, student dancers. I tell them the first thing is, I'm here to teach you, to train. That's not to teach as in, well, this is what I can do. I'm training you just to evolve. The same thing I'm doing, you could do it too, but your mind is not thinking that way. So let me help you. Step 1, step 2, and it can be slow sometimes. You know, there can, depending on the class, if you're a very beginner, I have to go slow. But then you got to find a psychological way of communicating, respect them, do a little joke in there. You know, then you use certain references in life that they can go, as opposed to just lecturing them, you need to do it like this and sit down and just listen to me while I'm telling. No, you use certain point of references, like if you say to yourself, if your movement is a 7/8, that's empowerment. You look straight ahead and you get that audience and you legs out in your stance, and you know, when you're in school and you just, hey, what's up, my girl? Or something, what up, dude? So, and they clicks. And you see them, they catch it. Because you can just do a movement, but again, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
One of the things that you were mentioning earlier, that hip hop is just as much of a culture and a whole lifestyle and way of communicating, the same as, you know, you coming from Jamaica and you having a sort of, you know, valuing the freedom of movement and valuing the improvisational nature, because that was part of Jamaican culture. What part of hip hop as a culture influences the dance styles that you do?
I would say that's like breakdancing, popping, waving. That's what would influence me. Because like I always liked that style. In Jamaica, everybody, they call it the electric boogie. Like you'll stand next to your friend and go, and you pass it on to your next friend, and then you're doing a little robot. So that style drew me in. Breakdancing, that's one style I wish I was young enough to learn, because it was in the 70s, 71, 72.
Early 80s.
Yeah, so by the time and you got to do that from you're young. You do it when you're old now. You can still, but...
there's a lot of those ways of moving that they just don't come natural.
Nah, you pull a muscle. So yeah, it as the culture itself... See, New York is like, you know, Bronx, that's the birthplace of it. So it's around you. It's not just dancing and music, is just going up the street to the grocery store, local bodega, and you're like, what up, man? What's going on? That's hip hop. That's the way your slang is. Then you may be walking through the park and you see double dutching, basketballing. And then what always playing is some music in the background out of somebody's car. And you'll see your little people two-stepping or whatever, then they go shoot, because, you know, you just got distracted. Come on, man, we playing the ball or what? That was my track, you know,
So hip hop isn't necessarily, I think people think of music as the core of hip hop culture, but it isn't just, you know, the elements of hip hop culture, breakdancing and beatboxing and DJing and graffiti art. You know, there's all forms, MCing, all of these forms come together. And there's, just like with any other culture, you know, a geographic culture, there's certain ways of talking, there's language,
slang.
There's slang, there's certain styles of dress and costuming that make up hip hop, the culture, just as if you were from, you know, a different country. And how would we define you? It's the same way.
And the thing is, today's generation, I try to teach them that. They look at it more of, I just heard that rap song and I'm a hip hop person. But then I see, when I say to you I use a certain slang, or I ask you about a certain fashion statement, it goes, what? Because like you said, those elements there, that's, you know, you figure you're in an urban city, middle class, you want an outlet. So if you got a poor kid on the block and they say to themselves, I'm tired of, you know, staying home, and you hear a song, you're like, oh, I'm a beatbox. I'm gonna do that. Then the next person be like, I heard that, but I can't beatbox. But man, I'm talking about I'll be rapping and I'll be writing some poem stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I could do an MC. And then the next guy, and I spray, I DJ, break dance. So it's an outlet. So like for me, dance is the outlet. You're releasing something that's inside you that had you coped up, and then now you're free. You let go. You release. That's why it's so easy to me. Teaching choreography, it's very easy. It's seriously easy. Like the way I'm looking at you, I can see steps. What makes it challenging is allowing, especially student dancers, understand the concept you're coming from. It's like in music or anything. Say these lines for me. They're reading, go, no, I want you to say it a certain way, with a this feeling, with a this mindset. So until they get it, you're like, do it again. And that's when you go from take 1 to take 22, because you're like, it's just not right. So that's the challenging part of the dancing part to me. And then letting them understand the culture. It's not just music. It's not just what you hear in the rapping or the trap music of today's eras. You got to be around it. It's because it's in you. We can see it. We can see you from, you really, NY, not even just New York, if you really hip hop, because the way you talk, it's supposed to be your tone of voice, your mannerism. Like I can go from, hi Carl, how you doing? Everything was cool.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Barry. It's lovely to see you.
I appreciate that, thanks. I can, relax a little. I'm like, everything is cool, and we can still click. You'll go, yeah, I see it. So it's
when you get real excited, all of a sudden your Jamaican accent will slip out a little bit more.
I gotta
or
keep
your
that.
creativity is going, and then the hip hop slang will come out, it'll creep out.
That's me, yes. Especially the reggae. Don't get me wrong, I represent hip hop as a culture, but I'm Jamaican from heart. Bob Marley, Jamaican, everything. Everything. Yeah. That's it. And it's like, I don't hide it. It's just, you're so accustomed. I'm accustomed to being. I'm diverse, So any race or whatever. I see a person, so I can just talk to you. Yeah.
Communication is about meeting people where they're at, finding where your common ground is. But then sometimes you remember, well, this is what I have that's different that I bring too.
Yeah. And then after a while, it becomes a part of you. Now you're like jack of all trades. But then it's still there. It takes over. Like I'll talk to you and go, yes, our hip hop was all cool. And the other day I didn't know what. I'm like, oh snap, my fault. We'll be on Broadway. Best to believe. 3 more years. We'll be there.
It.
Yeah. Take the musical out. Straight dance. That inspiration came from The Music Man. This movie called Music Man.
I love that movie.
Oh, nice. There's a scene in there when they're in the library, and all of that was choreography. And I said, wow, just going to he was flirting with her, it was choreography. The librarians, people looking for the books. Hip hop doesn't do that.
Yeah, there was a real story, the movement. It was like acting and storytelling combined with the movement. And it wasn't just, random movement in the space. It was integrated with the setting, the environment.
That's exactly what, that's what I do now with the choreography. All the song, anything you hear we use, you can listen to it and go, oh, he's telling a story, but I don't have the props. I don't have the stage.
Right.
You go over what you have, the bodies. Right. But it's always a story. From your OPP, the Revs game, to your Ghostbusters, at the parades, to...
I love it.
Yeah, but I appreciate it. And Carla, thank you for having me. Like, this is a good little experience to express, just the whole art form of this Ace switch. The style is remix hip hop, to remix something from its natural into something different. Yeah. You put bits and pieces of other styles in there, your jazz, ballet, tap, your animation and stuff. And if you used to blend all that stuff in, your pop, waving, locking, crumping, remix hip hop.
If people want to get more involved with you, if they want to follow the performances, if they have young people that they want involved in learning dance, learning breakdancing, learning hip hop, maybe even being a part of Switches, the dance troupe, how do they find and get in contact with you to do that?
Well, we're located where we are, Heritage Hills,
The lovely golf course and entertainment complex.
Yes. Now, I always say to folks, I've been coming out here 6 years teaching, but I still consider myself a tourist. So if I don't have the street, I guess I can get a pass because, he just teaches and then he goes back home. But I love it out here. I'm thinking of picking up residency. But Heritage Hills, we're there Friday and Saturday, 4:30 to 8. And
wonderful.
That's depending if you want to join Switches, the performing company. So that's on Saturdays. You can look up us Facebook. We're on Instagram, A Switch Hip Hop Dance Company and Group. It's long because it's gonna change and stuff, but it's But yeah, we're on Instagram, on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Come by Heritage Hills every Friday. If you're new, beginner, depends, it doesn't matter. I have adult classes. We have I go from 5-year-olds, which is on Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 8-year-old class. And then you'll have like your adult class, same day on Saturday, 2 p.m. So yeah, Heritage Hills. That's where we are, right here in New York.
I'm really excited about this. I love the atmosphere, and I just want to know more about it.
I see it evolving, changing, growing, and I like it.
It's fleeting. Once it happens, once a song comes out, once a poem comes out, it'll never come out the same.
Some of the culture in Maine is documenting what's going on in a way that will have that lasting staying power.
It just breeds healthy growth. It's a necessity. It's a necessity.
There you go.
Don't take my kindness for weakness. Don't take